Mr. President, I have an amendment that I send to the desk and ask for its immediate consideration.
The clerk report.
The senator from South Dakota, Mr. Thune, proposes amendment numbered 1618.
And, Mr. President, I would ask unanimous consent that the rest of the reading of the amendment be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Mr. President, the amendment that I bring to the Senate this evening is very simple, and it ties into the debate that was just held about hate crimes legislation. One of the ways that you can obviously prevent crime happening is to make sure that people are able to defend themselves against violent crimes. And my amendment would do just that. It's very simple. It allows individuals the right to carry a lawfully concealed firearm across state lines while at the same time respecting the laws of the host state. This amendment is very similar, Mr. President, to bipartisan legislation that I've introduced, Senate Bill 845, which currently has 22 co-sponsors. The Second Amendment provides, and the Supreme Court held in the Heller decision last summer, that law-abiding Americans have a fundamental right to possess firearms in order to defend themselves and their families. Mr. President, studies have shown that there is more defensive gun use by victims than there are crimes that are committed with firearms. As such, I believe that a state's border should not be a limit on this fundamental right, and that law-abiding individuals should be guaranteed their Second Amendment rights without complication as they travel throughout the 48 states that currently permit some form of conceal and carry. While some states with concealed carry laws grant reciprocity to permit holders from other select states, my amendment would eliminate the confusing patchwork of laws that currently exists. This amendment would allow an individual to carry a concealed firearm across state lines if they either have a valid permit or if, under their state of residence, they are legally entitled to do so. After entering another state, an individual must respect the laws of the host state as they apply to conceal and carry permit holders, including the specific type of locations in which firearms may not be carried. Reliable empirical research shows that states with concealed carry laws enjoy significantly lower violent crime rates than those states that do not. For example, for every year a state has a concealed carry law, the murder rate declines by 3%, rape by 2%, and robberies by over 2%. Additionally, research shows that minorities and women tend to be the ones with the most to gain from being allowed to protect themselves. The benefits of conceal and carry extend to more than just the individuals that actually carry the firearms. Since criminals are unable to tell who is and who is not carrying a firearm just by looking at a potential victim, they are less likely to commit crimes when they fear that they may come in direct contact with an individual who is armed. This deterrent is so strong that a Department of Justice study found that 40% of felons had not committed crimes because they feared the prospective victim was armed. Additionally, research shows that when unrestricted conceal and carry laws are passed, not only benefits those who are armed, but also others like children. My amendment, in comparison to others being debated in the Senate, would actually empower individuals to protect themselves before they become victims of a crime instead of just punishing the perpetrators afterwards. A great example of this occurred earlier this month. Stephen Fleischman is a 62-year-old jewelry salesman from Mobile, Alabama, who often travels for business. On his recent business trip to Memphis, a group of 4 men, 2 of which were armed, confronted him in a parking lot and tried to take his merchandise. Instead of becoming a victim, Mr. Fleischman, who was legally concealing his firearm, was able to pull his weapon and protect himself and his merchandise from the 4 attackers. Who knows what would have happened to Mr. Fleischman or his jewelry if he was traveling in South Carolina or any other 27 states that Alabama does not have reciprocity agreements with. My amendment would alleviate this problem, Mr. President, and I hope that when we return next week, we have an opportunity to debate this amendment and to vote upon it, that my colleagues will support it, because I believe that it is an important tool for safety, for self-defense, and it's consistent with our tradition in this country of respect for Second Amendment rights, for allowing American citizens the opportunity and the right to defend and protect themselves. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor. President, I suggest the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.